Police.
Yeah, there's somebody after me.
I'm sorry?
There's somebody after me.
Where are you?
There's somebody after me.
11 bodies were found on a desolate stretch of Gilgo Beach, New York in 2010 and 2011. 9 women, a man, and a toddler.
Investigators surround Rex Heuermann's Massapequa Park home and continue to confiscate evidence, both here and at 2 storage rental units nearby.
Cortese is here now with more on how a discarded pizza crust helped the detectives tie all of this evidence together.
Rex Heuermann is a demon that walks among us, a predator.
Welcome to the Occult Rejects. Finally has made it to episode 4 with the Book of Lies with the Rex and Gilgo situation. In my opinion, I do think that the last 3 episodes were pretty weird with a lot of the number stuff, and I do think that there is something with that. With that said, I do think, in a way, that this is actually maybe even more. I actually was crazy enough to run every chapter name and check all the numbers for all that, and then we cross-checked that with the stuff that we've already covered. And there was a lot of stuff, I think, with that and just commonalities, even with the Book of Lies. So with this episode, I'd say there might be just as much weird stuff, if not more, with the numbers. And I do have, as usual, I have Lisa with me. Lisa, thank you so much for coming on and finishing this very long and time-consuming series. You know, I appreciate it. I know you had just did the I-series with us that took forever to do, and this one was actually pretty time-consuming. So I really appreciate you doing both of those so far.
Absolutely. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, hell yeah, it was. It was actually. It was very weird, too. It was just...
Yeah.
I don't know. I definitely think there's something here. 2 things that I want to say before we even get into it. One, unfortunately, here's my yearly spiel. For people that had just started listening to me within the last year, you may have never heard me say this before. People have been listening to me since day one. They've heard it already. This show, I pay about $350, I think, a year for Spreaker to host 500 hours a year. And I pay almost about that much, unfortunately, for StreamYard. But that is, I choose that package because I want to be able to record and stream in 1080, and I want to be able to stream out to up to 8 places. I know that's not really needed, so I do understand that's kind of my choice. But between both of them, it is about $700 to basically keep the show going, I guess. All the equipment and stuff that I buy, I would never really ever expect anybody to donate towards that because that's my choice. But if you want to hear the show keep going, it's going to keep going anyway, regardless if you donate or not. But if you want to help out with that, I do allow donations for that. I do ask for donations for that once a year. I have Cash App and Venmo in the bottom. I mean, it's always there. So if you happen to want to donate to the $700 it costs a year, you can use one of those. And those are the only ones I have. I have had people ask me for PayPal, etc. I appreciate it. Just keep your money at that point. Those are the only 2 apps that I'm using. So, I appreciate it if you want to try in other ways. If you want to, just share the video or suggest it to somebody. That's cool enough, too. I appreciate that as well. Second thing I wanted to mention, if you happen to be of the mindset that thelemic magic is real, if you think that maybe Aleister Crowley, even though it could have been deranged, lunatic, was onto something and did understand this stuff, and if you do think that there is something behind, I guess, magic, especially thelemic magic, with against being an influence, or something that can be used to manipulate people, unfortunately, and you think this book is, maybe legit, please go look up the book, or for people who really don't even know what it is, go look up the book and start looking at the commentary. You are going to see constant stressing on number value. Throughout this whole book, you will see that constantly. There is reasons why these chapters are on certain pages. They even tell you that because of the number on the page. or the numerical value of something else. It is constantly mentioned. So if you entertain thelemic magic at all, then you have to entertain numbers, gematria, and codes. There are certain chapters that match the same value, and I'm sure that is for a reason. Some chapters match poems that he's done, or other books. I'm sure that's a reason for that, because of the numerical value as well. So keep that in mind when listening to this and the other past ones if you have not yet. All right, so don't discredit the numbers as much, please. All right, and then now we're going to get into it. We got the numerical value of the chapters in the Book of the Law, things that it matched, and then we will go into some of Crowley's women, because there is matches with that. And, we have said before, you have the MMM, which is, associated with the OTO and the Gnostic Church. And you have AC, Amber Costello, Aleister Crowley. Very weird. So I looked into some of his Scarlet women and checked out some of their info and ran it and got some interesting matches as well with that. So that's what's going to be in this episode. That does not sound interesting to you, you can turn it off. If not, keep it on. Or if you're even slightly interested, I don't know. Just hang out and just think, who knows. It's just definitely weird. And again, I said this in the last episode. I definitely think we're onto something with the numbers. Obviously, I wouldn't have spent all this time if I just thought it was interesting. I do think there is something here. I just don't know to what extent does it mean, like, this is a script? How much of us, but then again, if it's a script, how much of it is actual real? I'm not saying these people didn't die, but did they not? Like, I'm sure they did, but just to me, it's just very weird. It's like, how far does this, script go with, being actually completely fake and whatever? Was it done specifically, these murders done specifically to be ritualistic with this? Who knows? That's what I'm getting at. I have no idea, because this is just beyond me with the amount of commonalities, I think, with the gematria. It's just very weird. So it's even, I got nothing when it comes down to my theory, really, besides the fact that I think there's something here. I do think it's ritualistic regardless, and I think it is magical regardless. I guess that's the best way to put it. Now, to get into it, and to shut up with that stuff, here we go. Book of Lies, Rex in the Gilgo Beach Murders. Another thing I do want to mention, too, so I don't add it in the middle, the word the, T-H-E, in simple gematria does equal 33. And there is times where I would take the out of the title and still got matches. If that's just coincidence, it could be. Or is there something up with taking 33 out of the original value? Is there something up with that as well? But I include, like here, when we start off, I will have the Sabbath of the Goat, and then I will have Sabbath of the Goat. I guess technically I could have gone real crazy and just did Sabbath of Goat. But, I didn't go that far. So I'll start it off. The Sabbath of the Goat, that is 644 in Hebrew, 1098 in English, and 183 in simple. Now it's you get the 644 that was in the Hebrew matches 116. You get 644, you get 780, and you get 130. On 116, the date 116, police department released a photo of the belt with WH or HM on it. That was with Rex. The 644 from the Hebrew of the Sabbath of the Goat also matches America, Babylon. That's Babylon. That's where Gilgo Beach was, and Amber was from Babylon. Then we have March 1-4. Now, that doesn't equal anything to the Sabbath of the Goat, but it does equal the 822 and the 137 for America, Babylon. And that is the date that Rex's, Avalanche got ID'd?
Chevy Avalanche.
Yes, got ID'd. And then you have June 6th. That is 780 and 130, which does also match June 16. I'm sorry, 116 that I said earlier. Again, that doesn't actually match anything with the Sabbath of the Goat, but it does share that numerical value, and that's a day that Rex bought minutes for his phone. So damn it, I just screwed that all up. Right? Yeah.
9:53. I got it.
Fuck, that's fucking annoying. All right. Yeah. You know, some of these things that I added in there, I should have just left them out because it really fucks me up going back and forth. But it just is interesting.
No, I think it's good. I think
it's just I lose of why I'm fucking reading them, and it throws me all off. And I started reading I put myself ahead because I was confused. All right, let me start this all over. Oh, God. Okay. All right, the Book of Lies, Rex and the Gilgo. Actually, no. I'm just going to start it off when I did the Sabbath of the Goat. The Sabbath of the Goat. 644, 1098, and 183. The 644 matches 116, 644. 116 is 644, 780, and 130. The Hebrew match is for the day that the belt of WH or HM. The photo of that was released on 116. The 644 in Hebrew for the Sabbath of the Goat and 116 also does match America, Babylon. Gilgo Beach was in Babylon. Amber was from Babylon. It's an interesting thing there. Then we have March 1-4. That matches America, Babylon as well for the 822 and the 137. That is a day that Rex's Chevy Avalanche got ID'd. Then the 116, remember that was 644, that matched with the Sabbath of the Goat in Hebrew. The June 6th, which is a day that there was a call to Megan Waterman, also matches 780 and 130. So I even find that interesting, even though that June 6th doesn't actually match the Sabbath of the Goat. It does share numerical value with another date, for the 116. So it's just interesting to me how even some of the dates that I think that we'll see for things that happen, they might actually kind of match multiple things. Sabbath of the Goat without the in there. You get 531, 900, and 150. I found this just to be kind of interesting. You get Paula Dietz, however you say her name, BTK's wife. 900 is for Hebrew, then 690 and 115. It is, I know the Sabbath of the Goat, the 900 is in the English, but I found that interesting and just included it, that she does have 900, but that's for Hebrew. The 690 and 115, though, of her last, of the simple in English, does match a day, though, May 19, that Rex bought minutes. So I even thought that was interesting, Even her name does even match a date that Rex bought minutes. And then here, Lisa will have you read the stuff from the Sabbath of the Goat from the poem. Not the poem, the chapter. My bad.
Well, going back to how you had said that it feels like a script, if you read the chapter of the Sabbath of the Goat, there's a particular line that talks about cast the seed into the field of the night. And it felt like that was synonymous to whoever did these killings, casting the seed or burying the seed of these women into the field. And one would assume that it's occurring at night. With the Sabbath of the Goat, going back, goats were sacrificed on the Sabbath day when offering, usually on the Day of Atonement. And these women, when they were placed into the ground there on Gilgo Beach, they found them wrapped in burlap. Burlap traditionally had been sackcloths or made of sackcloths, and sackcloths were traditionally made of goat hair. So you kind of go back to the whole Sabbath of the Goat, goat hair, burlap, sackcloths. And the goats, were sacrificed in order to make an offering for their sins to purify. Or you could wear the sackcloths as a way of penance, because wearing goat hair would be itchy and scratchy, and it would be a way to, do your penance. So some of the things also with this is that the last days the girls were seen is a Thursday, a Sunday, and then a Thursday. And so, of course, we don't know when they were killed. We only know when they were last seen. But one would surmise that it would be something like where they, on the Sabbath day, they're wrapped in sackcloths. So that's kind of where that came in with the poem.
Yes, thank you. And then
I believe you wrote,
yeah, the stuff on the bottom. I did find that it's a little interesting. I'll just mention it. I thought it was really interesting when I was like, oh, there's page 8 on here, but that's the PDF. Then again, for all I know, who knows if something was done with the PDF for a numerical value to match too, but it doesn't match the same numbers in the book. So I really couldn't go fully with it, but I did find it interesting how Sunday and Thursday are still, for the numbers, if you were to look at it with the Tree of Life and Kabbalah, Sunday would be the sun, and Tiferet, that would be a numerical value of 6 for the sphere, and, 666 for Tiferet. Thursday would be Jupiter, Chesed, and that would be the 4th sphere. So, you're getting the 6 and the 4 with those 2 dates. With Thursday or Sunday, I do think the path to Tehuti is 8, 6, and 4. So, that's why I saw the 8 at the bottom, got all excited at first, but you still get the 6s and the 4s, which I do find that weird, I guess, maybe. I don't know. Regardless if it's even anything to do with that, it is weird in general, I think, how these 4 women disappeared, were last seen on, 2 of them, only on 2 days, you know what I'm saying? I find that like a little weird, how it's neither a Sunday or a Thursday, just in general. All right, and then we'll get to the next one. Here we go, Cry of the Hawk, and that's all. This is all you.
So Cry of the Hawk without the
real quick, I'm so sorry. I totally meant to mention this before. With Knox, especially with this, with Knox in there, I know this is going to be maybe kind of like, people might think it's cocky that I'm even coming out and like saying I think I have somewhat of an idea of where Crowley was going with Knox. But I do think it's literally the crossing of your eyesight with your optic nerve. We showed it in our last series, how, those things that makes that X. We even showed things that, Egyptian stuff, things, mimicking that symbol. I honestly think that part of Knox is really all that. I'm sure there's many levels to what that actually is, but if you start thinking about that area in the eyeball, you do have multiple layers of wrapping in there. Even when it comes to the Chariot card that I think I've shown in the eyeball series, that white spiraling in the middle, I think is like wrappings in a sense. Your pupil screws closed, literally wraps closed. So I do even see how wrappings can be used. So like not, I hate that, like this is just an example that I can think of. And again, I've given this show a shout out plenty of times. And I don't think he's really hiding being a magician, or at least his mods and the people in his lives aren't. But even going by Drip Drop's outfit that I have said multiple times, I think is an occult outfit. That wrapping on his head, I think, is symbolizing the same thing that I'm trying to explain with symbolism for the wrapping of the eyeball. So I do wonder, even going back to wrapping people up. If I think there was like something weird like that, and I think some kind of movie that I think a dude who was either involved with Thelema or was just obsessed with the OTO, I can't remember, but William Ramsey suggested it to me and played like a few minutes, I think one time when he was on my show or I was on his show, and there was like some weird thing where I think the person got wrapped up too. And I think I had even said I really do think that is actually symbolizing eyeball stuff, because the dude was dressed up in all black, I think rolling somebody up in white or something. And I was, this is really weird. It's, so not to go off in too much of a tangent before we go into the next page, but I do wonder about that. Not trying to take it too deep and this and that, but, to me, I can see occult symbolism doing that. Possible. All right, so now here we go. All you now. I'm done.
Cry of the Hawk. So the Cry of the Hawk is without the. as NY mentioned earlier. And that was for Hebrew, we got 1571, 858, and 143. That matched Dennis Lynn Rader, which is BTK, in case people didn't know that or haven't watched the previous episodes. And that matched the Hebrew 858, even though it is in the English part of Cry of the Hawk. Going off of that, of Cry of the Hawk, November 8th, which was the actual date tied to Rex's burner phone accounts. And in the bail application, they mentioned all of the burner phone accounts and that he had activated them. And the one date that they listed was November 8th, which I found kind of odd. But we went ahead and ran that, and it matched Cry of the Hawk for English and simple 858-143. It also matched Not Guilty, which is Rex's plea since his arrest for English and simple. In running the Cry of the Hawk, it also matches Dennis Lynn Rader again for English and simple 1056-176. It also matched January 19th, which is the day that Megan Waterman was ID'd. Now, the girls were found in December, but they weren't identified immediately. It wouldn't be until the following January that Megan Waterman was identified, and she was the first of the four to be identified. And that matched the English and the simple for Cry of the Hawk.
Yo, I think that is wild that Dennis Lynn Rader matched somehow twice.
Regardless.
That is weird.
Whether you add that or not.
It's something I did want to add, like you were saying how, like, in the bail application, there was only, like, one date for the phone. In the bail application, you can't even get specific dates that somebody was born.
Correct.
And shout out to Drip Drop, just to show that I wasn't shitting on him before, because I'm not. I actually really dig his work. I've seen him use Intellis. And Intellis is legal. You just have to pay for it. You are not doxing. It is a totally legal program, a company that you can use. But it will give you background information on people if it's there to find. And even running it on this family, you're not getting the actual date of the month that they were born on. That's weird. Not to, I don't like bringing it up a lot, but even like my brother, he's in law enforcement. I told him that. I even told him about the bail application, and he even said, that's actually very weird. He has one of his boys, actually. One of his friends is the person that is in charge of bringing Rex to court. And because they have like special people for high profile cases. And I did ask, I said, because his boy will be the person standing at the door when Rex comes into court and leaves. I said, next time that guy goes to court, can you please see if they mention his birthday? Because a lot of times when you stand there in court, you were saying, like, yes, I'm that person, and they, all this info. I would love to hear if they actually say the day of the month he was born. Because there's a lot of stuff with the birth dates and all the info about them that is just not available that I find very weird. I did want to add that. And was there anything, I don't want to jump the gun. You did happen to use that Intellis on somebody that kind of pops into this equation. Are you mentioning that later on? Huh?
I was gonna.
Okay, all right. I do want you to. I know it sounds like it may not.
I can mention it at the end of it when we talk.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, when we get to it, I was just hoping that you would do that because again, it's just
mention that.
It's just funny. Again, we don't know who these people are that we might be sending money to. Just put it that way.
Correct.
So, all right, go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
So, the Cry of the Hawk poem. As you read through it, a couple of things that stood out. The email account. One of the email accounts tied to Rex was called Thawk, THAWK. And to me, that was very similar to the Hawk. And so that stood out for me when reading The Cry of the Hawk. Also, the line, these 10 words are for the name of the one. And so when you look at the names, the way that they appear in the news or the way that you read them, if you put them all together, it's all four girls total 10 words between them. And so it's a total of 10 words of their name, and they're 4 girls. And so I found that to also be interesting as well.
That is, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't discredit that. I mean, like, I think, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that, like, even when these names are mentioned, verbally or typed, it's always, like, including, those women always have their middle names included. And those other two never do. It's, you know what I'm saying? And I'm sure they do have middle names, Or it's nothing, who knows? Now, here I added on the bottom, I just, it mentioned a 4-fold name. Whore hath a secret 4-fold name. It is do what thou wilt. 4 words, naught, 1 many, all of that stuff. Again, I just included, there's 4-fold in there. There's 4 victims. Who knows? Then I did just decide to add the numerical value of a few things. Do what thou wilt. That is 2450 in Hebrew, 1194 in English, 199 in simple. August 2-6 does match the English in simple, the 1194 and 191, for a call to Barthélemy. Abrahadabra, that is 181, 342, and 57. I found that interesting how it did match Rose, 342 and 57, and does match the Rose also matches with a 342, but it's not this. The 342 for English is now the 342 for Hebrew. I did find it interesting, and because we are going to touch on GoFundMe situation, kind of, it does match that 342. You get the same number, but not in the same spot. Is there something up with that? I don't know. I have seen that a few times, and that's why we've included it.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I ran
An interesting thing with Rose is that Rex's first wife, her middle name was Rose, Elizabeth Rose Ryan. And then Melissa Moore, who is the daughter of the Happy Face Killer, is the one who is setting up the GoFundMe for Asa Ellerup, which is Rex's current wife or soon-to-be ex-wife. Her mother's first name is Rose. So I found that to be a little odd. And so in speaking of Melissa Moore, did a little bit of digging on that, and she has a theft record. So I just found that a little odd that you would set up a GoFundMe and you have a theft on your record. I don't know. Again, not trying to dox anybody, but...
Well, no, you weren't. This is totally legal. This is why I'm stressing that. I've seen other shows use it. It's just that some people, when you mention something about somebody that somebody's in love with but doesn't actually even know, they get upset and start making crazy accusations. But it's completely legal. It's allowed to even be on YouTube, which is like, censor crazy.
Right.
So I don't want to hear that it was the wrong thing.
It's just one of those things that you're asking people for money, yet that's kind of been something that you haven't had good history with. It just seems, And, there was a lot of scams with Kylie Rodney and Kohlberger. And the GoFundMe.
With
Absolutely.
GoFundMes, even things with smiley face killers. There's been scams.
Very much so.
GoFundMes popping up before the people even disappear.
Yes.
I do believe... especially when it comes to true crime that I think has occult symbolism behind it. Another thing that they seem to like to do is scam people with GoFundMes. Yes. You knew Kylie Rodney was not coming home, so let's make GoFundMes to go search for a girl that you know is dead. You don't even have to go search because you know you're not going to find her. And then you send the money to relatives that you're even saying you're relatives with on Facebook. It's a scam. I hate to say it, but people scam with GoFundMes for true crime. Yeah. So who knows?
And a side note on the whole GoFundMe, some of the families of the actual victims that lost their lives, the girls that have, the remains that's been found, their families have come out publicly stating that they are not happy with this whole GoFundMe thing. When have you ever seen someone who is suspected of killing and money going to that family when money never went to any of the families of the victims? Not that this is a whole, payout thing, but
I think it
It
amazes
is
me how the
kinda
case
odd.
isn't even over yet, and people have already decided who's guilty, who's not. And I'm just gonna say, it's just very weird.
Court of press,
And
yeah.
it-
Popular
bef-
press.
You know, before we even get on to the next one, just real quick, you know, we're talking about roses, matching roses. I mean, what fucking color hair does Asa have? I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's
Let's
red.
be real.
Yeah, like a rose color red. Rose
Scarlet.
blonde.
Scarlet woman.
Skirt.
All right, now this one's for me to read, right? I think yes. Forgot. Sorry. Thank you. The Oyster. That is 838, 810, and 135. Megan Waterman, 810, 135 matches. Mountaineer, that is another chapter. That matches 810 and 135, just showing that as an example. I do think it's on purpose. February 10, 810 and 135 again. February 10th is Amber Costello's birthday. July 10th matches as well. That was the last day Bartholomew was seen. Now, Oyster, just Oyster in itself. 725-612-102. Buffalo, New York. Hits all three. 725-612-102. Melissa Bartholomew was born in Buffalo, New York. June 6th hits 612-102. And that is a call to Waterman. And then the Oyster, I'll let you take this real quick, Lisa. Again.
So in the poem, The Oyster, found it pretty interesting that the town of Oyster Bay is the town that Rex Heuermann lives in. So he lives in Massapequa Park, and it's an incorporated village of town of Oyster Bay. Then it's, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's Massapequa Park or town of Oyster Bay, and then it is South Oyster Bay, and then it is Gilgo Beach, right? Is that how?
Yeah, then
it
Gilgo
appears
Beach
on the
is
map?
technically actually in the town of Babylon at that point, too.
Okay, right. So
So
it's
like
just
you
south
have
of
Rex, who's
Massapequa.
in Oyster Bay, and then you have Gilgo, which is in Babylon.
Right. So it's again like the whole script thing, going back to the script of it all. Also, one of the things that I wanted to mention is a line in the Oyster poem that there was a body of a baby found next to the Gilgo 4. They called it Baby Doe. And in the line, the man delights in uniting with the woman and the woman in parting from the child. So immediately when you think the man delights in the woman, I think of the sex workers, you know, or the men seeking out the sex workers for, you know, partaking in the delights. And the baby doe was linked to another body that was found 10 miles apart to a sex worker's remains that were found, you know, later on. And it seems like the woman parting from the child is part of the woman that delighted with the man. And so to me, that was kind of like scripted in that you have a sex worker, she lost her life, she was separated from her child, and they believe, according to the court documents, that both the mother and the child were killed at the same time. So they had to have been separated, but they were buried separate. So, yeah.
All right. You're good? That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you very much. That was great. All right. And I really have nothing to, I mean, you knocked that out of the park enough, so there's really nothing for me to add to it.
Okay.
Yeah. Next, I think this one's really good. I mean, I think they're all good, but, you know. Peaches. Rose. 172 for peaches in Hebrew, 342 in English, and 57 in simple. Rose, 225, and then you get the 342 and the 57 matches peaches. Abrahadabra, I just threw that in there. That does also match 342 and 57. And GoFundMe, again, I'm just throwing that in there, does match the 342, but in Hebrew. And then, I'll let you just take this poem again.
So the previous poem, The Oyster, leads into this poem, not in the book, but in a storyline, in that the woman who was found that matches the DNA to the baby that was found, they named her, or they nicknamed her, Peaches. because of a tattoo that was found on one of her remains. I believe the way that her remains were found is that on an area, they only found her torso. And then in another area, they found her skull. So she was dismembered and separated, but she was buried very far, 10 miles away from the baby itself. So as you read through the poem, I'm going to read it quickly. Soft and hollow, how thou dost overcome the hard and full. It dies, it gives itself to thee is the fruit. Be thou the bride, thou shalt be the mother hereafter to all impressions thus. Let them not overcome thee, yet let them breed with thee. The least of the impressions come to its perfection is Pan. Receive 1,000 lovers, going back to the sex worker thing of it all. Thou shalt bear but one child. Only one child was found associated with the sex worker. This child shall be the heir of the fate of the father, or heir of fate the father. And to me, that almost is like, could the child be the link towards finding out who, was responsible for the dismembering or the burying and all that other things, or possibly the father of the child. So going back to the oyster, and then now linking in with the poem, The Peaches, you have the sex worker Jane Doe 3, which was nicknamed Peaches because of her tattoo, also linked to Baby Doe. And so I already kind of said everything previously. The baby was found Gilgo Beach, close to the Pt4, and then was buried 10 miles away from the remains of her mother, sex worker. One thing that I also found interesting in some of the reports is that the baby was buried and it was wrapped in like swaddling clothes, and it also was buried with gold earrings and a necklace. One would think that you would take that, right? If I don't know if you're doing something nefarious, but that the baby itself was buried with jewelry, and the jewelry was gold.
Well, again, a child does go with Tiferet, which goes with gold. But I mean, that could just be coincidence for real. One thing I even noticed, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and I was just like, I do not even want to start even looking into this. But I was listening to Grizzly True Crime, listening to her cover, Gilgo Beach stuff as I was working on the show. And she was like mentioning, like, I think the distance between people and the distance from, like, I think could have been, I almost positive she said like 8 miles for the distance of something. It might have been like Wantor Parkway or something like that, from when you get onto it to where the distance of the body, something like that. And I was just like, well, here's another 8 Toth again. But there was like other numbers that she was even saying that I was like, yo, like I could see that like even making sense. Like it was weird, but I didn't want to get into it. But I even think like there's even something to do with distances and stuff. Very weird when you start hearing the numbers.
For sure.
This one, I really have nothing else to add to it. Unfortunately, the way Go ahead.
No, I said just real quick, because I'm looking at it right now, that the tattoo was heart-shaped, and the remains of the torso were in a green container. So heart, green, right? I believe you had mentioned that sometime. And then that the actual peach itself is bitten with 2 drops coming out of it, and it was found on the left breast, which the left breast is the breast on top of the heart. So,
yeah, that was even like in tarot when I was talking with Teresa and Mario recently. The relationship between like Chesed and Netzach, Netzach and Gabora, and red and green, and even how like there's a heart link I think there as well. And again, I could see the heart in the green box kind of sense. Right. You get Nirvana heart-shaped box, something up with that maybe.
Yeah.
What I was saying earlier, unfortunately, I think really it was the way that we were kind of working on this topic together. While I was doing other stuff, she was kind of basically touching on the similarities between the chapters. And by the time I got to them and looked at them, there really wasn't much for me to add. So I have her reading most of them.
And mind you, I know nothing about Thelema. I'm not practicing or anything like that. I was just merely observing.
No. I mean, some of them, like you were saying, I mean, even with the numerical value and the stuff being said, it's just very coincidental. Peaches, the name matching. I mean, I don't know.
Going back to the writing of the script of it all.
Yeah. Here we go with the Battle of Ants. You get 628 in Hebrew, 1008, and then 168 for English and Simple. May 9th, the day the Suffolk County finally releases Gilbert's 911 call. That matches the 628 in Hebrew. That gets the, again, with the Battle of Ants, that has 628 for Hebrew. Then July 25, that is the day his house search ends. That matches the English of the Battle of Ants, 1008 and then 168. So those two dates match that chapter. Then if you take the out and have Battle of Ants, you get 515 in Hebrew, 810 in English, and 135 in Simple. The 515 matches Babylon with the Y. Amber was from Babylon. Gilgo Beach is in Babylon. And then you have 804, which is a date. Jane Doe 7 was ID'd as Karen. How do you say that last name, June?
Vergata.
Found on Fire Island. And that matches the 515 in Hebrew, as well as, the Battle of Ants for the 515. And then you have July 10th, 710. That was the last day Bartholomew was seen alive on the bail application. And that matches the 810 and the 135 of Battle of Ants. Idaho murders. That matches 810 and 135 of Battle of Ants. Year of the Pig, 2007. Maureen disappeared or allegedly died. That matches the 810 and 135. Caviar. Hebrew is 794, and then the English and Simple is 324 and 54. December 1-1. Now, this is in Hebrew, the 324, not the English, but it is a match in numbers that I thought was worth listening. That is the day the bodies were found. Rex Heuermann. 794, 876, and 146. Again, Rex Heuermann matches the 794 with Caviar, 794. You have Elizabeth Ryan, and that is 1171, 876, and 146. That matches Rex Heuermann's 876 and 146 for English and Simple. I know that was going off a little bit, but I do find it weird how Elizabeth Ryan in English and Simple does match Rex Heuermann in English and Simple. I could have mentioned that in the last three. I don't remember, but I threw it in there just to remind people. Zara, again, something to do with the red Kabbalistic bracelet. That matches the Caviar's 324 and 54. And Prostitute matches Hebrew 794 with Caviar 794. The Dinosaurs, 677 in Hebrew, 918 in English, 153 in Simple. 63, Rex and Asa were born in 63. That matches the 918 and the 153. May 19th, that also matches the 918 and the 153. And May 19th, Rex buys minutes in Manhattan. It's a date they've given us. Dinosaurs, 564, 720, and 120. July 6th. That is a day for Maureen and Melissa. That matches 720 and 120. Was that? I'm so sorry. I forget.
It's okay.
Is that a day Coles, or was that like days last seen or something?
No, it was. So the July 6th was when they were both first contacted.
Yeah, one was like 27
contacted
in 2009, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So I did kind of remember. Dinosaurs, that matched July 6th with the 720 and 120. I did mention last episode the Fatal Force, which is another poem by Crowley. That matched 720 and 120. And then the 385 of Fatal Force even matched Rex in Hebrew for the 385. So I even found that very weird combination. Then you have 116 matching the 720 and the 120. And January 16th, in 2020, police department released photo of belt with initials WH and HM. 720 and 120 also matches 44. And that 4-4 also matches Valerie Mack, Asian male and toddler found.
Those were the dates when they were found, yeah.
And then we have 119. That is the date of Megan Waterman ID'd, first of Gilgo 4 to be ID'd. That matches 720 and 120. So for the Dinosaurs, the 720 and the 120, you know, you do get like 3 dates right there of stuff to do with the case that they've given us. I found that interesting. All right, this is you.
For sure. Steeped Horsehair, 600, 1050, 175. That yielded a match to September 1st for English and Simple, 1050, 175. And that is Amber. That is the day, I believe, oh man, I think she went missing. Yeah. And then I believe, I'm not sure, I'm going to have to check that.
I'll check it out where you're doing it.
Okay.
Now.
And then August 19th, it yielded a match for Simple and English, 1050, 175. And that was a call made to Melissa Bartholomew.
All right, so September, what was that again? I'm sorry.
September 1st for Amber.
Yeah, that was, she was contacted by a burner phone.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, and she, and the phone, the time received, 11:33.
That's right.
And 11:34,
right.
but there was an 11:33 phone call.
She was called twice. Yeah. March 14th, which was the first time that they suspect that Rex is a suspect because of his registration to the Chevy Avalanche. That yielded a match for English and Simple, 1050, 175. So we looked at Steeped Horsehair poem, and the line, therefore, is man only himself when lost to himself in the charioting. And to me, that was everything about charioting, the act of sex, and chariot being the sex worker. Seeping horsehair in the past has talked about it was done in order to produce semen as represented by a snake. And I believe the other part is you, the Cheth and the chariot.
Yeah, there is, like I even said before, there is commentary on these things and notes by, like, you know, people that, you know, are in the know in the OTO. And, you know, Cheth, they even mentioned Cheth is the chariot in the tarot. The charioteer is the bearer of the Holy Grail. And all this should be studied in Liber 418, the 12th Aether. So I do, you know, again, going back to chariot and the tarot, I even mentioned that before. I even think that has eyeball symbolism in it as well. But, you know, we're talking about the chariot, and it also, you know, could that have been a Chevy Avalanche? You know, because you even mentioned before on March 14, he was ID'd because of the Chevy Avalanche. Could that have something to do with, like, is that his chariot? Right. Because that is eventually going to be the king. That's going to be the king in tarot. Eventually, when he gets off that chariot, he'll be the king, Rex, king.
Yeah, and the Chevy Avalanche was ID'd by one of the witnesses because apparently the suspect was driving a Chevy Avalanche when he was making contact with Amber Costello. So it's in the storyline for sure. So,
awesome. Yeah. And then you can move on.
So the Branks for Hebrew 336, English 588, and Simple 98. It matched Alpha Omega for English and Simple. It matched Craig being the brother of Rex Heuermann. It matched 228 in English with the Alpha Omega of Hebrew. It also matched 588, going back, root beer going back to the image of Asa, Victoria, and Chris, the stepson of Rex, Christopher Sheridan. He was pictured carrying a case of root beer. Root beer matched English for 588 and Simple 98.
Just real quick, just for me to interject real fast. If people haven't seen the other ones, even the A&W root beer, which is what he was holding, matched stuff. So if you're wondering why you're including root beer, I mean, even that was matching things in the previous episode. So,
right. It yielded a lot of results for sure. Huron Road was one of the properties tied to Rex Heuermann and that yielded a match for English at 588, and then it also matched 462. Ian Hera,
Yes.
it matched 462, and then Maureen, which is one of the girls, 462 as well. Moving on to Branks, without the, it matched Lynn, 390.65 in English and simple. La Gitana, 390.65 as well. Ellerup, which is Asa's last name, 390.65. Wait, no, Ellerup was 390 in Hebrew. And then it also matched Dennis, which is the first name of Dennis Lynn Rader, the BTK, 390.65. It matched Gilbert in Hebrew, 223. Gilbert is the last name of Shannon Gilbert, who made the 911 call, and also one of the bodies found on that whole area. And May 1st or May 1 was the date of the 911 call, and that matched 438.73 to Gilbert's last name.
That I thought was another bugged out one. Branks, the 223 matches Gilbert in Hebrew 223. Mm-hmm. And then Gilbert's, the rest of her English and simple, then matches the day that she called.
Yeah.
That's just weird as crap to me. Very weird.
Right.
On to the next. So yeah, faster one. Little Straws. 2239 in Hebrew, 1002 in English, and 167 in simple. July 17 call to Bartholomew's family matches the 1002 and the 167. Then 420, a pair of severed leg, April 20th, pair of severed legs found on Fire Island, Jane Doe number 9. That matches the 1002, 167. July 13th, the day Rex gets arrested, matches 1002, 167. The Glowworm in Hebrew, 2150, then in English and simple, 954, 149. Pizza Crust matches the 94, the 954, the 149. Massapequa Park equals 954, 159. And July 11th, which is a call to Bartholomew, 954, 159. Glowworm, Hebrew 2037, English and simple 756, 126. Asa has a 126 in the middle. In English, I just thought that was interesting. It does match the 126 for the simple of Glowworm. Dragonflies, 425, 858, 143. Dennis Lynn Rader, you get the 858 for Hebrew. You know, that is kind of a match for the English, but it's not the same, but I did include that. Then you take out the Dragonflies, 312-660-110. You get Asa Ellerup matching the 660 and the 110. And July 9 that's the day for Melissa and Megan.
It was also another. Mm-hmm. Yeah, more. It was Maureen and Megan. Yeah,
Maureen and Megan, and that matches the 660 and the 110 as well. And then onion peelings, that is 425 in Hebrew, 924 in English, 154 in simple. December 13, day other bodies were found, that is 924, 154. July 19, day that Asa files for divorce, 924, 154. So they shared that as well. A lot of interesting dates right there, I think.
A lot of dates matching.
And you want to take this one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'll go through it quickly. Mm-hmm. So the poem, The Gun Barrel, 548-786-131. That matched July 11 for English and Simple, 786-131. And that was a call placed to Bartholomew. August 5 was also another call to Bartholomew, matched English and Simple, 786-131. Massapequa matched Hebrew 548. It also matched Burlington 548. Burlington is a company that Rex's firm did work with, and it is also the company that Christopher Sheridan worked at. Now, if it's the same store, I have no idea, but Burlington did pop up several times in the storyline.
Is that a gun company?
Burlington, I believe it's a coat factory.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I knew that too. No.
Yeah.
Well, I did even find it interesting. This guy had how many guns, and we're even getting all this.
Yeah.
Barrel poem.
Burlington. Now you have me going through the Rolodex. Is it? I don't know if it is.
I'm probably thinking of something else.
I'm sure somebody in the comments will comment if it is. Gus Coletti, which was the house that Shannon Gilbert ran to, the very first house she ran to away from the house where she believed that she was going to be killed. Gus Coletti matched English and Simple 786131. Gun Barrel without the matched Root Beer for English and Simple 58898. It also matched Huron Road, which is a property that is tied to Rex, 588 for English and 462 for Simple. Ian Hara, it matched 462, and Maureen 462, both for English. The Stag Beetle 448-774-129, that matched Butterfly, and Butterfly was a tattoo on Amber, I believe. I believe it was Amber. And it matched English and Simple 774-129. Stag Beetle without the did not yield any matches. So there were certain ones. I mean, I think it's important to show that there were certain titles that did not yield one, and to kind of compare and contrast that there were many that did. Yeah. So moving on to the Swan. The Swan for Hebrew is 1144, English 540, and Simple 90. That matched Theodore, which is the first name of Rex Heuermann's dad. That matched English 540 and Simple 90. It also matched another poem called Long Odds, 540 and 90. Ayin Hara matched 540, which that was in Hebrew, but it also is the same number for the English of the Swan. And it also matched Maureen Maureen matched 462, which matches back to Ayin Hara. That's how you say it.
Yeah.
Swan without the matched Peaches. So for Swan, it was 1031 for Hebrew, 342 for English, and 57 for Simple. That matched Peaches for English and Simple, 342 and 57. Sorry. Dewdrops was another poem that did not yield any results. Moving on to The Leopard and the Deer. For Hebrew was 585, English 1128, Simple 188. That matched Dennis, which is the first name of Dennis Lynn Rader, the BTK killer, and that matched his Hebrew number 188, even though it was a number for Simple. The Leopard and the Deer without the in the front of it, Hebrew 472, English 930, Simple 155. That matched West Warwick, which was a property tied to Rex, with English 930, Simple 155. July 12, which was a day that Maureen was last seen, matched English and Simple 930, 155. September 1 matched Hebrew 472, and that was the day that Amber Costello was contacted by burner phone. March 14, which was the day that Rex was linked to the Chevy Avalanche, that matched 822 and 137 back to September 1st, which was the gematria results for Amber Lynn Costello being contacted via burner phone. January 15th matched English and Simple to Leopard and the Deer. And January 15th was the day that Rex created the account called Springfield Man 9. And that was tied to a name called John Springfield, and he made that with a link to Astoria, Queens, in New York. So that was listed in the bail application. The poem Samson did not yield any results. The poem The Blind Webster, Hebrew 1370, English 996, Simple 166, matched March 23, which was the day that the pizza was swabbed. The day when the pizza swab, where they collected DNA evidence, was sent out to the laboratory. And that was all over the news, hence why we picked that date to analyze. That matched the blind Webster for 1370 in Hebrew. January 1/5 was when one of the emails was created, and that matched English and Simple with 996 and Simple 166. The phrase "it is what it is" was the response from Asa when they showed her photo evidence of Rex being the suspect. So we ran that, and that yielded a match with English and Simple for 996 and 166. Blind Webster without the matched North Reading, which is also another property tied to Rex, for English and Simple, 798 and 133. And July 9th, which is another date listed as contacting two of the girls, for English and Simple, 798 and 133.
Awesome. That was a whole lot right there.
That was a lot. Yeah.
Dude, yeah, that was, I think the 9th was Maureen was contacted, because I think I left out exactly why that was on there. Sorry. So I just checked it now. July 9th was a day that Maureen was contacted from the burner phone.
Okay.
Moving on. I don't even know how you say this one. The Despot, whatever.
Sounds good.
Yeah. That is 422 in Hebrew, 672 in English, and 112 in Simple. The Architect, Rex was an architect. That matches the 422 of Hebrew with that chapter. Nassau also mentions, is also 422, and that matches the Despot. And then if you go to Gilgo Beach, even though it's not an exact match, but it's the same numbers, Gilgo Beach is 112. That chapter, Simple, is 112. So it's English and Hebrew. And then BTK also matches 112 with Gilgo Beach's Hebrew of 112. And then the Despot has 112 for Simple. It's just interesting. And then obviously if you take out the, that chapter is going to still match Architect because you're just removing the. But I figured I'd just show that. This one, Skidoo, or however you say this, 213, 438, and 73. Carolina, where Amber was from at one point, 204, 438, and 73. It matches that. Gilbert matches the 438 and the 73. And May 1 also matches the 438 and the 73. The Hawk and the Blind Worm, nothing. The Star Ruby, 1066 for Hebrew, 942 in English, and 157 for Simple. March 2-3, the day the pizza swab was sent out, matches the 942 and the 157. 108, one of Rex's his other address on the same road, 108 matches 942 and 157 of the Star Ruby. Star Ruby without the, you get 953, 744, 124. July 3, Melissa was called, 744 and 124. You have a match there. Then with the Elephant and the Tortoise and the Sorcerer, no matches. The Pole Star, 519, 834, 139. Christopher, 834, 139. John A. Dreams, 909, 648, 108. December 11th, these bodies were found. 909, matches that in Hebrew. The Gorette, however you say that, 456, 714, 119. Amber Costello matches the Hebrew with 456. The Mountaineer, I know I read this before, 673, 1008, 168. That does match the date the house search ends with the 1008 and the 168. And the Mountaineer without the 560, 810, 135. Megan Waterman matches 810135. And July 10th, last day Bartholomew was seen, matches 810 and 135. And then Baphomet, unfortunately, no matches. And then here you go.
Okay. The poem The Smoking Dog, in Hebrew 410, 882 in English, and simple 147. Excuse me. That matched March 14th, which was the day that Rex was ID'd with the Chevy Avalanche. That matched English 882 and simple 147. It also yielded a match with 839, which that was the actual day that Rex was arrested. And that matched in English 882 and simple 147. It also matched Springfield Man 9 with English 882 and simple 147. And this was an actual email account used for a Tinder profile. The poem Venus of Milo, in Hebrew 1200, English 906, simple 151. It matched January 26. It was the actual date that the pizza box was swabbed and I believe sent out. The DNA was sent out. And that had a match of 1200 in English, even though the Venus of Milo 1200 is in Hebrew. The Star of Sapphire did not yield any results. The poem Dragons, in Hebrew 272, English 468, in simple 78. It yielded a match to Melissa, which is one of the girls, to English 468, in simple 78. It also matched Pizza, English 468, simple 78. It also matched Sheridan in English 468, simple 78. And Sheridan is Christopher's last name, which is Rex's stepson, and that's Asa's previous married last name. Poem Lambskin, Hebrew 202, English 486, simple 81. That matched July 31 for Simple had 202, which matched back to the Hebrew of lambskin. And so July 31 is when male's hair in 2010 was submitted for DNA analysis. That was the male's hair that was found on one of the bodies, on one of the Gilgo 4. The poem, The Luby, is that how you say it? Lobby, Luby? Yeah. Okay. In Hebrew, 635, English 612, simple 102. It matched June 6, which was one of the dates that was called Megan Waterman, and it matched in simple 102. Luby without the, Hebrew 522, English 414, simple 69. It matches architect with 522, although it was in English, but it matched 522 all the way, or kind of tangentially matched the Hebrew for Luby. Gilgo Beach matches English and simple with 414 and 69. The poem The Hymn Hog, Hebrew 217, English 510, simple 85. Brainyard, which is one of the last name of one of the girls, match Hebrew 217. Corned beef hash, no matches. Dust Devil, Hebrew 1132, English 696, simple 116, matched Green Avalanche, which they ended up determining that the avalanche that was of the witness testimony was a green avalanche. And that matched in English and simple 696 and 116. Mulberry Tops, The Mass of the Phoenix, Chinese Music, Buttons and Rosettes are poems that did not yield any matches. Windmill Words was a poem that did yield match. In Hebrew, 2156, English 1050, and simple 175. It matched September 1st, which was the day that Amber was contacted, for English 1050 and simple 175. It also matched August 19th, which was another date listed of a call made to Bartholomew, and it matched English and simple 1050, 175.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Next one.
It's a lot.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, like I had even said in the previous episode, I figured this was going to take about 2 hours to do anyway. It's going to be probably close to it. Maybe an hour and 45, hour and 30. Moom, how do you say this one?
I would say mom, Roths.
Roths. All right, so that one, actually, most of this is you're going to be reading anyway, but you do get 394 for Hebrew, 672 for English, and 112 again for simple. Gilgo Beach does share the 112, but that is in Hebrew. And real quick, I'll just read the bottom ones, and then I'll let you just go back to this. Waratah Blossoms, that is 1513 in Hebrew. And then you have 1116 for English and 186 for simple. July 3-1, that was the day hair was found. That does match the 1513 in Hebrew. And then July 2-4, that was the day the backyard got excavated. That does match the English in simple, 1116 and the 186. And the vigil of St. Hubert yielded nothing. And now you could take it back to this one.
So in Momroth's, immediately you see the word prostitute. And so you're thinking, okay, let's go back to the whole, storyline of Gilgo Beach murders. So that kind of stood out to me in reading Momroth's. But then in also looking at the title, Momroth's, I kind of did a little bit of digging, and I found this to be interesting. And this is also included in the commentary, but I kind of expounded upon that. Is it the first time we see Momroth's ever in the lexicon or the English language? It appears in a poem by Lewis Carroll in 1871, and the poem is called Jabberwocky, and it is included in the novel Through the Looking Glass. When they asked Carroll what Momroth's was, he gave the explanation that Mom was kind of like a shortened word for Solom or solemn, but meaning kind of like grave, like alone. Going back to the whole solemn. And Roth's, he explained, was a species of land turtle that lived on swallows and oysters. Now going back to the whole oyster thing, right? Like the poem and then, town of Oyster Bay. But in the poem, as you read it, the poem itself, Humpty Dumpty tells Alice, from Alice in Wonderland, that Momroth's is a sort of green pig. And that kind of made me think of the duality between the killer, how the killer sees himself as one way. Carroll explains that Roths are a turtle, but Humpty Dumpty explains that it's a pig. And so the killer would see himself as one way when society sees him as something else. And then the fact that Humpty Dumpty says green pig, I thought of the green container that one of the girls was found in. And so that kind of, that whole play on that. Momroth's appears later in the actual Disney film Alice in Wonderland as flowery characters dancing around. And so flowering, I thought, okay, well, going back to burying the bodies and potential flowers that are found in the marshland area. That kind of sent it on that whole tangent. The line, but the late to watch and early to pray, or prey, meaning like predator prey, brings him across the abyss. To me, the abyss could be the watery abyss, which separates his house, Massapequa Bay, in town of Oyster Bay. Then you have South Oyster Bay, which is a body of water that separates Massapequa Park from Gilgo Beach. That would be kind of like an abyss. And then brings him across the abyss. The abyss could be a watery abyss. Seeing first light, to me, is also another way to imagine like him, whomever is burying the bodies or whatever, you're potentially burying them at night. You're looking at the abyss, and seeing first light, the dawn, and what have you. On a side tangent, that's kind of how you activate your pineal. So that's the whole dawn meditation. And so that there's a repeat of do not forget the dawn meditation. And so when you go back and you reread the poem, to me, it sounds like a thing of first, the early bird catches the worm, the young prostitute, going back to the whole virginity of it all, Do not forget your dawn meditation, which is first light. So it's all about the firsts to me in that whole thing. A side tangent to this, going back to the poem of Jabberwocky, is Bandersnatch. And Bandersnatch was an actual character that's mentioned briefly in the poem as being, like a fictional creature that's kind of scary. But Black Mirror created a film that had Bandersnatch, where the film viewers would make decisions for the characters. And so you ran Bandersnatch through Gematria, which I found kind of interesting. Yeah, which it matched. Go ahead.
No, you go. I actually forgot what it matched.
No, it matches Waterman, Bartholomew, and Bull Baiting poem, which is the 411 stories. So going back to 4, Gilgo 4, and then a total of 11 remains, which 11 stories. So yeah, that's why I mentioned Bandersnatch. Yeah. I know it was like a tangent, but I mean it ties back in.
Yeah, well, I even thought. I mean, to me, regardless of even like if this has anything to do with like Gilgo stuff, I just think it's very, very interesting how Crowley and Lewis Carroll. I think Crowley knew or understood what Lewis Carroll was really writing about, which is why he takes stuff. I
agree.
From him. I even think and it's something that we might cover eventually, Lewis Carroll and Crowley, but I even questioned if he got ayahuasca from him in a sense.
Because in the poem, you don't really, Mom Ross doesn't ever appear again, but that's the title of the poem. And you're thinking, what does Mom Ross have anything to do with the poem itself?
Yeah, the chapter, whatever this is.
Or the chapter, I'm sorry, the chapter.
I keep saying poem because of all the poems we've covered, but.
Right, and that's my mistake, yeah, it's a chapter. But in the commentary, they go on to kind of link up the chapter with Lewis Carroll.
Oh, yeah, they let you know that he. Yeah.
So you kind of know you're on the right path when you look up Mom Roths and you see Lewis Carroll, and then in the commentary, they're kind of also referring back to Lewis Carroll.
Yeah, very interesting. Lewis Carroll. All right. And, you want me to take this one since you just went so much?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Terrier work. $13.99 in Hebrew, $960 in English, $160 in simple. July 18, 1399 matches the Terrier work, 1399. I don't remember what that date was for, honestly. July 1-2 was a call to Bartholomew, and 11 bottles were recovered as well. And I think that was used for his DNA, correct? The 11 bottles?
Yes. The 11 bottles were recovered from Rex's house, and they tied that DNA to Asa, or the other 3 hairs that were found that were of female origin.
Got you.
Well, they're all female origin, but
in July 1-2, that matches the 960 and 160 of Terrier work, and mitochondrial DNA, which is what's involved with those 11 bottles, does match 960 and 160 as well. Bull baiting, that is 410, 654, 109. Bartholomew matches the 654, 109. The Titanic, another poem by Crowley, that matches 654 1009. Again, showing some of those just to show you that some of his stuff does repeat the same numerical value, which I think is on purpose. And then you get Waterman, that matches the 654 109. And Ferez, again, that matched something to do with the Kabbalistic bracelet that I was questioning that Asa might have been wearing. That matches the 654, but it is in Hebrew. And again, the 444 and 74 of Ferez also matches Wantor. The bull baiting with the in there now. 523, 852, 142. July 1-2, the date the hair matches the pizza. 852, 142. The Dowser, nothing. Eve's droppings. 1201, 1020, and 170. Raider matches the 170, but that 170 is in Hebrew for Raider. The 170 is in English. But Raider does also match with the English in simple. You have 170 for the Hebrew. That, I guess I just matched the eavesdroppings. Then you have 276 and 46. That does match Chaos, which was a tattoo for the 276 and 46. The Drooping Sunflower, nothing. Drooping Sunflower. 1691 1386 231. July 23, that is a call to Bartholomew. That matched the 1386 and the 231 of Drooping Sunflower. Trouble with Twins, nothing. The Duck-billed Platypus, nothing. Haggai Howlings, 1157, 840, and 140. Amber Costello, 456. And then it matches the 840 and 140 of Haggai Howlings. And then Waterman matches the Hebrew, 1157 in Hebrew as well. The Tailless Monkey, nothing. The Wound of whatever, nothing. The Fool's Knot, 529, 960, 160. That technically would even match the mitochondrial DNA and the call to Melissa Bartholomew. And the 11 bottles recovered. Answers matches that.
Also, going back to, because you said September, I'm sorry, July 18th, that was, just to kind of insert it, that was Rex Heuermann's dad's birthday.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally forgot. Fool's Knot, 416-762-127. That matches July 3rd. That is another one I have forgot why it's there, but it does match that date as well. And then Twig, that is, the Fool's Knot matched the English, the 762 and the 127. Twig, you get 1016, 354, and 59. That matches Barnes, 354 and 59. Marjorie Do, 1508, 690, 115. That matches Columbia Street with the 690 and the 115. Paula Dietz, 690 and the 115. And May 19, when Rex buys minutes, matches 690 and 115. So, got a bunch with this. And then this one I'll let you take. Oh, perfect, too, because it's another poem you can read.
So consistency, is that how you say constancy?
Yeah.
Hebrew 727, English 684, simple 114. It matches August 5th, which was one of the calls made to Bartholomew, with Hebrew 727. It also matches beach for English, in English 114. This chapter does mention oysters. So just as a side note on that one. Sick transit. It itself did not have any matches, but we went ahead and analyzed that poem and looked at it. The line, bodies were buried in the marshland of the beach. Sorry, that was not a line. I'm sorry. Sick transit reminded me of bodies buried in the marshland of the beaches of Long Island. We are assuming that the bodies were buried at night or early morning. And so as you're envisioning, as the bodies are being buried, you're seeing moon pools of silver and mist, which the poem does mention. Also, another assumption is made that the burials took place in the summer because that's when they went missing. We don't know when they were killed and we don't know when they were buried, but we just know when they were last seen. It is an assumption that they were buried in the summer, right? I mean, I think that's a safe statement to make. So if they were buried shortly after that they were taken, then one could assume that they were buried in the summer. And so you would assume they were buried in the summer because the ground is softer, I believe, right? It's not frozen or frigid at that point. I went ahead and I took the liberty of looking up native plants in Gilgo Beach area and what plants are flowering in the marsh or in bloom in mid-late summer. And you do see a bunch of them that are white with a yellow gold stamen in the center, which the poem mentions. An example of that would be the rose mallow. So I found that kind of weird with going back with the whole scripted of it all, right? So disciples that watched found a dead body kneeling at the altar, which gives you the idea of a consort or a group of killers, which they have talked about a lot in the news, that there are different styles of the actual way that these girls were killed. They don't believe that it was just one person. They believe that it was a group of people doing this. And to me, I would think that you would want to keep tabs on each other, right? Compare and contrast notes. So that the whole disciple thing of it all. Kneeling before an altar And I believe in another poem, Crowley talks about considering the earth as the altar. Am I wrong on that?
No.
So that's kind of where the whole script took me. The praying
great.
mantis. Go ahead.
No, so that's
No?
great. Thank you.
Oh, okay. The praying mantis for Hebrew 980, English 1194, and simple 199. It matched August 26 or 26. I'm sorry, with in English 1194 and simple 199, and that was a call placed to Bartholomew. Praying mantis without the in Hebrew 867, English 996, simple 166, and that matched January 15 for English 996 and simple 166, and that was a date when one of the emails was created.
Awesome. Now on to Sodom Apples. Sodom Apples 460 810 135. Megan Waterman 810 135. Mountaineer again, that had an 810 135. February 10 is Amber Costello's birthday, 810 135. July 10th, last day Bartholomew was seen, 810 135. Then July 10th, same thing as the last time it was seen alive. And then Idaho murders, 810 135. And Year of the Pig, 810 135, 2007. The year that Maureen disappeared was also Year of the Pig. Sodom Apples. Oh, I guess you can take this now if you want.
Okay. So Sodom Apples in the chapter, looking at the commentary that was written below it, it talks about, and I believe in another poem, Sodom Apples are mentioned as well, and they kind of expound upon Sodom Apples as well. They say that it's the inedible fruit found in the desert. And to me, that parallels with the conquest of sex without fruitful fertilization, right? So light in my wallet and my heart is also light is a line from that chapter. To me, pain for sex, false sense of intimacy, power, and control seems like the script, right? In terms of light in my wallet, my heart is also light. It's a mirage of power, being godlike, and so forth. Dark night of the soul in choosing darkness to me was killing, right? Taking of a soul or whatever, dark night of soul. Night of Pan, going back to the whole goat angle of it all, is the camo burlap that was used to wrap the girls. It was used for concealment during dusk and dawn for hunting. But that's what it's traditionally used for. And I wonder if they used it as well to also conceal themselves as they were out there burying the bodies. Pan is indicative of the goat. And again, we're back to the goat hair shirt, sackcloth burlap of it all. Babylon is also mentioned in terms of representing female sexual impulsivity and liberation. It's a sacred whore, the true mistress of the beast, which to me was Crowley, right? But also Rex, because Crowley took on the title of Rex in one of the ceremonies that they did for him, I believe,
yes,
if I'm not mistaken. Man gives into her, reborn into her, dwells as master in the city of pyramids. And that was also a line associated with Babylon. So, see no more light, but that of the great fire, consume your dust to ashes. So death to me is being buried underground, and these girls were buried near Fire Island. Dust to dust, ashes to ashes. That's also a Catholic mantra for death. So it's kind of the script I got from that.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mana, you get 112, 258, 43. Again, with the Gilgo Beach matches this time with both Hebrew, 112. And then the next one I'll read again. Oh. Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Hashed pheasant, 421-774-129. Butterfly matches the 724 and the 129. Again, tattoo. And then 839 8:39. Rex was arrested at 8:39. That matches the 421 of the hashed pheasants, Hebrew 421. And then July 839 does match with the English and simple now, Springfield Man 9. It's not matching the hashed pheasant, but the 421 of 839 when he was arrested at 839 matches the Hebrew of hashed pheasant, and then the English of 839, the 882, and the 147 matches the Springfield Man, number 9. And that was the email used for a Tinder profile. The Devil on the Ostrich, nothing. Carey Street, nothing. Plover's Eggs, that is 1114, 870, and 145. 92, the number of gun permits issued to Rex. That matches 870145. The Wake World, it also matches, which is another poem by Crowley for the 870 and the 145. Again, showing you, I think, does that on purpose. And then December 1-3, where the 3 other bodies were found. That matches the 870 and 145 as well. Then you have Phaeton, which is nothing. Layla, I just put her name in there. That's 450, 354, and 59. That does match Barnes, 354 and 59. Wheel and Woe, 1934. 666, we've heard that before, and 111. That matches Dennis Rader's 666 and 111. Also matches Barbara Brennan, who was involved with Shannon Gilbert. That is 666 111. And May 1st matches 666 111. And that date, I think, also matches Shannon Gilbert. So I find that weird how the Wheel and the Woe actually matches, a
lot of Shannon Gilbert.
Yeah, and Dennis, Dennis Rader said he was a clone. Mm-hmm. The BAL Bullier, 472, 762, 127. That matches July 3rd with the 762, 127. September 1st, that was the day that Amber got a burner call. That matches the 472 in the Hebrew for Bull Bullier. And then the March 1-4, which I think that was the day that Rex's truck again, was that ID'd or was it for Amber? Okay. And that matches, that matches September 1's 822 and 137. Bull Bullier, nothing. Blackthorn, nothing. Lewis Ling, that is 452, 750, 125. May 19, a day where he buys minutes, 750, 125 is a match. Then dropping down to Blind Pig without the. You get 151, 438, and 73. Carolina, Amber, associated with that, 438, 73. Chaos, you get the Hebrew match with Blind Pig, 151. Then Blaze, as another tattoo. That matches the 276 and 46 of Chaos. Weird. Then Gilbert, back to the original Blind Pig. The 438 and 73 is a match there. And again, May 1st with her call, matches 438 and 73 of Blind Pig. And then here we go.
The Avalanche, in Hebrew 892. English 600, simple 100. It matches Craig, which is the name of Rex's brother. It matches 100 in Hebrew. Green Avalanche matches.
It didn't match anything. I just threw in the gematria there because the guy That's right. The guy did have an avalanche anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, he had the Green Avalanche, and then he gave that to Craig. I think that's probably also it. Or Craig had it in possession down in South Carolina, and then he bought himself another Avalanche, just not green. They never said what color. I think it's just dark. Avalanche, Hebrew, 779. English, 402. Simple, 67. It matches Brainard, 402 in English, 67 in simple. The next chapter, I don't know how to say that. Borboigami.
Yeah.
Hebrew, 630. English, 636. And simple 106. It matches Osborne Road, which is another property associated with Rex. and it matches in English 630. Tat, Hebrew 201, English 246, simple 41, matched Omega 246, 41 in English and simple. It matches Oz for English 246 and simple 41, and Abaddon, English for 246 and simple 41. Mandarin Meals, Hebrew 351, English 744, simple 124. It matched July 3, which I believe that's a date that was Melissa was contacted. It matches English 744, simple 124. Gold Bricks, Unprofessional Conduct, and Starlight, there were no matches. The Heichel,
Yeah, I don't even know how to say that either.
Hebrew 170, English 498, simple 83. It matched Raider for Dennis Rader's last name. It matched Hebrew 170. It also matched Chaos, which is tattoo, 276 in English and 46 in simple.
Yeah, the Chaos matches the Raider. That kept screwing me up. I should never have included that, but it is interesting to me though, how that happens.
Well, they're tangentially related. I think that's important to show.
Oh, and real quick, that date you mentioned before, that was, I just pulled it up. Melissa Bartholomew was contacted on that day by the burner phone, that date that you mentioned that you said you forgot.
There's so many dates.
Yeah, I think it was, what was it, July 3rd you said? Yeah, July 3. That was the day that she was contacted by burner phone.
Okay, thank you. Megan matched 83 in Hebrew to the Heichel in 83 in simple. Blue, which was the name of the German Shepherd that found the bodies, that matched 240 and 40 in English and simple to Megan. Heichel, without the was 57 in Hebrew, 300 in English, 50 in simple. Match Gilgo in 300 English and 50 in simple.
Awesome. And that concludes the end of the Book of Lies with the gematria and all the matches on the stuff that we've run before in the past in the last 3 episodes. And now I know I did mention that we're going to go into some of Crowley's Scarlet women. And really, again, some of the reasons why, I guess maybe because of the stuff in the book of Lies, but also, again, I just thought it was, interesting how we did have AC and then all these other women around it. And he did have some, I guess, major women in his life. And I thought it might have been interesting to maybe, kind of look into them and just see similarities or, even with the gematria and stuff. So here we're going to start off with Layla first. Layla, and then her whole name, Layla Ida Narissa Bathurst Waddell, however you say all those names. Layla by itself, you do get 55, 234, 539, and then that does match Amber, 234 and 39. Narissa, that you get 315, 510 and 85. GoFundMe equals 510 and 85, and the Himog equals 510 and 85, which is another chapter in the Book of Lies. The reason I was even including that is because if if people were to go back and look at stuff about the Book of Lies, it is mentioned constantly that there are things in here that were dedicated kind of or influenced by this woman. So again, just even showing the numerical value, I think it was on purpose. Bathurst, that you get 581, 654, 109. Bartholomew equals 654, 109. And Waterman equals 654, 109. Waddell, you get 954 and 366 and 61. Pizza Crust, the 954 is for the English, but it does match Waddell's Hebrew, 954. And then you will also get Massapequa Park equaling the 954 of the Pizza Crust, and July 11th, which is a 954 for the Massapequa Park, and the Pizza Crust in English, But again, Waddell does have it in Hebrew, so I thought it might be interesting considering all the other hits we're getting. Why I think these things may be things as well. And then you have born. She was born Layla Ida Bathurst Waddell, August 10th, 1880, and she passed away September 13th, 1932. Died September 13th. You get, for September 13, you get 724-1212 and 202. July 31, 212-1212-202. That was when the male hair in 2010 was submitted for DNA analysis. So her death date matches the day the hair was found in English and Simple. Her birth date, August 10 for August 10th. You get 1328, 1122, and 187. Melissa Bartholomew matches the English 1122 and 187. I even find it interesting. Again, you're getting 1122, Kohlberger case, 187. I know that's normally for cops, but it does have to do with murder. Just very interesting. She was born in Bathurst, New South Wales, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. David Waddell. I threw David Waddell in there. You get 1672, 606, 101. Costello matches 606 and 101. Real quick, she was a violin teacher at Presbyterian Ladies College in Croydon and Oscom and Kumbala schools. I didn't include it, but those schools did start matching weird stuff and then matched other weird stuff. It would have been a rabbit hole, but I left it all out. But there was weird stuff with that, actually, those names. This I thought was interesting. In 1908, Waddell was a member of the Gypsy Band in a Waltz Dream at Daly's London Theatre. And Crowley referred to her variously as Divine Whore, Mother of Heaven, Sister Sybil, Scarlet Woman, and Whore of Babylon. So I ran Divine Whore. You get 1810, 792, and 132. Burlington is 792, 132. Mother of Heaven, I ran. That is 1088, 930, and 155. West Warwick equals 930 and 155. July 12th also matches 930 and 155. And that was the day that Bartholomew, Bartholomew. Is that a day that she got called, I think. And then January, just for people who may not know, West Warwick was an address of Rex, why I'm mentioning it. July 15th, that also matches 930 and 155. And again, that is Springfield Man 9. Account was made from Astoria, Queens. So you got Mother of Heaven matching West Warwick, July 12th and July 15th. Then you have Sister Sybil. 809, 852, 142. That matches June 12. That's when they got the hair matches for the pizza. That is 852 and 142. This one's interesting. Scarlet Woman, 1320, 864, 144. You also get Melissa Moore, who was the woman we talked about before, who has had problems with the law for theft and has a GoFundMe for Asa Now. And associated with the Happy Face Killers. That is a match for Scarlet Woman, 864 and 144. Married in 1912, Waddell and fellow Crowley students Mary Desty and Mary Butts were given co-authorship credit in Crowley's book, Crowley's Magic Book 4. Mary Desty, I just ran that real quick, 790-684-114. Now, that does match Beach, but not the same. The Beach get 114 for English. The 114 was for Simple, but I thought that was interesting. Mary Butts, the 1003-834-138. The 834 matches Polestar, and it matches Christopher, the 834. So I thought that was worth mentioning. Crowley also starred Waddell along with other fiddlers in a septet, I don't even know how to say that, called the Ragged Ragtime Girls on a London stage. And Fiddlers, I just happen to run that, 218-462-77. Maureen is 462 and 77. In 1915, Crowley stood at the base of the Statue of Liberty, formerly Liberty Enlightening the World. It's interesting. I did not know there was another name for that until I looked into this. And declared an Irish Republic in a long and impassioned speech accompanied by Waddell on the violin. Some people may not know, but he did spend time in New York. He spent time in Greenwich Village. He spent time in Montauk. He was here. Even one of his women were from the Bronx. So he does have ties to New York. Irish Republic, 575-894-149. Beverly Hills and Megan Waterman both share the 894-149 of Irish Republic. I'll take this one too, and then I'll let you do the other ones. Rose Edith Kelly, July 23rd of 1874 to 1932. Rose Edith Kelly, you get 806-1008 and 168. That matches July 25. Again, that is when the house search ends. That's 1008, 168. Rose, 225, 342, and 57. Like we said before, that matches Peaches, the 342 and 57. Edith, 126, 276, and 46. Now, Asa does match 126, but that is in the English for the Edith's Hebrew. And thought worth throwing in there. And then along with Edith's 276 and 46, you also get Raider, 276, 46, Chaos, 276 and 46, and Blaze, 276, 46. All match Edith. Then we have Kelly, 455, 390, and 65. That matches Lynn, 390, 65. That's Amber Costello's middle name. And Dennis matches 390 and 65. And in case you're not sure who that is, again, Dennis Rader, BTK. And this is why I included Asa before with Edith, is because even with this one, you are getting now Ellerup, which is her last name, but it's not matching exact. You get 390 for Hebrew, but Kelly did have 390 for English. Now, when I saw that in both Edith and Kelly, then I decided to throw those in. I wasn't going to originally by themselves, but when I was like, this seems a little fishy. You're getting her full name mixed in with Edith Kelly. In 1904, she aided him with Cairo working that led to the reception of the Book of the Law. So Rose Edith Kelly was the one associated with the Book of the Law, on which Crowley based much of his philosophy and religion, the Lema. Kelly and Aleister Crowley eloped on the 11th of August and married on the 12th of August in 1903 in order to save her from an arranged marriage. August 12th, I ran that day they got married, 23, 28, 1056, and 176. That matches Dennis Lynn Rader, 1056, 176. January 19, this is a day Megan Waterman is ID'd as the first of the Gilgo 4. That also matched to 1056 and 176. Interesting. On March 16th, 1904, in an avowedly frivolous attempt to impress his wife, Crowley tried to shoo the sylphs to her using the Bornless ritual. Although she could see nothing, she did seem to enter into a light trance and repeatedly say, "They're waiting for you." Sylphs, you get 668, 594, 99. June 5th, day that Megan was called, matches the 594 and 99. And Heuermann matches 594 and 99. March 16th, you get 671, 834, 139. Christopher matches the 834 and the 139 with Christopher Sheridan, Rex's stepson. Now, for some people who don't know, on the Book of the Law was done April 8th, 9th, and 10th. On these successive days beginning April 8th, 1904, he entered in his room and started at noon, and for exactly 1 hour wrote down what he claimed he heard dictated from Iowas. So she basically translated whatever Iowas was telling him. So she was there for all of this. So I ran the numbers on the date of the Book of the Laws. April 8, 299-630-105. That does match Osborne Road, which is in the place that Rex lived at, with the 630 and the 105. Dolores, we mentioned her previously. She even matches the 299 of April 8. April 8th. I tried that. You get 307-678-113. Massapequa matches the 678-113. April 9. You get 264-588-98. Huron Road, 588. You get the 588 matching there. And the root beer matches the 588 and the 98. And then we have April 10th, 423-738 and 123. German Shepherd, that, Blue, the dog that found the body, that matches the 423. And December 1-1, when the bodies were found, matches the 738 and the 123. So between April 10th, you got the dog and the bodies. And then April 10, 315-570 and 95. Waterman matches 570 and 95. I'll let you take this one then, Lisa. I won't leave you out there. I want you to miss out on all the fun.
I was like, great, now I have to pronounce the hard last name. Leah Hersig, born April 9th, 1883, and died on February 22nd, 1979. Her numbers are Hebrew 237, English 576, simple 96. That matches Sheridan, Hebrew 237. And again, Sheridan is Christopher Sheridan, and that's Rex's stepson, Asa's previous last name. So Hersig was born into a family of 9 siblings in Treschewald, canton of Bern, Switzerland. Apologize to those people that live there. However, they moved to the United States when she was a child, aged 2, and she grew up in New York City. Again, New York City. Growing up in the city, she was taught at a high school in the Bronx. Hersig and her older sister, Alma, were drawn to the study of the occult, and this interest led them to the spring of 1918 to pay a visit to Aleister Crowley, who was living at the time in the Manhattan neighborhood of Greenwich Village. Yeah. Crowley and Hersig felt an immediate and instinctive connection. Leah asked him to paint her as a dead soul, and in fact, Crowley painted several portraits of her. In 1919, after seeking out Aleister Crowley due to her interest in the occult, she was consecrated as his Babylon or Scarlet Woman, taking the name Alestral, the womb or grail of God. With Crowley, Leah had a daughter whom they named Anna Leah Poupée.
Yeah, that was a nickname. They called her Poupée.
Poupée, Crowley. She was born on the 26th of January, 1920 in Fontainebleau, France. She died on the 15th of October, 1920. So Poupée numbers are in Hebrew 380, English 468, simple 778. That matches Melissa 468 English 78 simple. It also matches Pizza 468 English 78 simple. It also matches Sheridan 468 English 78 simple. January 26, that matches January 26, which is when the pizza box swab was sent off. And that, I don't know, did it match?
No.
I think there was match. It was just Okay, just inserted for reference. October 15th.
Yeah, well, she was born on January 26th.
Oh, that's right. That's
yeah,
right.
so-
She was born 26, and then it corresponds to when they sent off that swab. That's right. October 15th, October 15 is Hebrew 1105, 924, and 134.
154.
Right? 154. December 13 matches English and simple 924 154. That is the day when the bodies were found. July matches July 19th 924 154. ASA files for divorce. October 15 Hebrew 461, English 858, simple 143. Matches Dennis Lynn Rader 858 in Hebrew. November 8th matches English 858, simple 143, and 11/8 is a date that is tied to Rex Heuermann's account being established on the bail application. Not guilty plea 926 858 143. Rex has pled not guilty since the arrest, which we talked about early on in the episode. Here's 6 role as Crowley's initiates, right? Reached a pinnacle. Okay. Reached a pinnacle in the spring of 1921 when she presided over his attainment of the grade of Ipsimus.
Yeah.
Ipsimus.
Ipsimus.
Yeah, that's Ipsimus. The only witness to the event. After moving from West 9th Street in Greenwich Village, New York City, with their newborn daughter, Anne Leah, nicknamed Poupée, Crowley, along with Leah Herzig, founded the Abbey of the Lima in Cthulhu?
Cthulhu, Sicily. I don't know how to say that.
Sicily on the 14th of April, 1920. Man, I butchered all these words. Sorry.
Sorry.
The Crowleys arrived in Cthulhu,
April 1st.
April 1st. Sorry. April 14th. 656, 960, 160. July 1-2 matches 960, 160 English and simple. And that is when a call was made to Bartholomew and 11 bottles were recovered for DNA. Mitochondrial DNA also matches 960 English, 160 simple. April 1st, April 1, 265, 540, 90 matches Theodore, 540 in English and 90 in simple. That's it for her.
Yes, and there you have it. That's it for everything, actually. That was all of the slides. So, I don't know if this added to it and made it any more. I don't know. I think between the women that he's involved with and I think the Book of Lies and everything else, to me, I do think there's something up here with these numbers. Again, I was saying,
I agree.
I don't know, how much is real, how much is fake, how much is for the screen. That I have no idea, and I can't really give an opinion on. But I do think, just from my opinion, that especially ritual, magic, thelemic, there's an influence here. Even with all the other stuff that we've shown in the past episodes, and, I hate to say it, even with the connection to witchcraft with Asta's sister. I do think something is weird and shady going on with this. Even things with the case that I really don't want to get into and go over and over again, but, I don't understand why there isn't other people being looked at, especially when there was tons of evidence from them involved with the bodies. There's a lot of stuff with this case. With the DNA, makes no sense. The fact that even in the court documents and background checks, you can't even get actual birth dates of these people. Very, very weird to me. I don't know. Something is up, but I know we said that we were going to bring receipts, and I think that was enough of them. I know we had showed poems before, and again, other things to do with Aleister Crowley, but especially when it came to the Book of the Lies, some of the chapters that we covered, You got peaches in there. You got stuff about the hawk. I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
Oyster.
Yeah, the oyster. There's a lot of things that I don't think it was a stretch to say that there's commonalities even in some of the chapters with what happened there. And then with all of this numerology matching, and then some of the stuff matching even the women that he's been with. Again, you have 3 women, MMM, and then Amber Costello, AC, and the OTO and the Gnostic Catholic Church with the MMM. Very suspect and shady to me. And I don't know, anything you want to say, Lisa?
No, I think that was it. It's a lot. It's a lot of correlation. It's a lot of back and forth with the Gilgo storyline. I thought some of the chapters might have been a stretch, but I thought some of the chapters, if you were looking to write a script, that's a lot of inspiration that I think could have been taken from those chapters. But that's me. That's an outsider view looking in, who knows absolutely nothing about the practice or anything like that.
Just think of how many probably songs and things have been influenced by this book. Because there was even something you sent me yesterday that I looked at real quick, and I was like, yeah, I can actually see it being pulled from one of the poems in here. Right. How many people, actually have read this book, and how many people would even remember some of the stuff that they read, that you could easily use this stuff as influence for your own work, and nobody would probably ever notice the difference. Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe the events did happen, but if you're going to script whatever you're going to write for the media to publish...
That's what I'm getting at. Yeah, it could be it could be everything was real, but you literally had it scripted and to the T. Or again, like I said, for all you know, there's like some AI bot just scripting this whole thing through numbers and values. You know what I'm saying to that extent?
No,
I mean,
absolutely.
Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But I thank everybody who listened to this whole episode. I know it was a longer one, another long one with a lot of numbers and stuff, especially heavily, really, with the Book of the Lies. But, I hope you all lasted long enough, too, to listen to the end part, because I thought that was actually some interesting stuff as well. If you have checked out this whole series, that is what's up, and I really, really appreciate that. I think that is cool that you probably spent about 8 hours listening to this stuff. That's what's up. I appreciate it. Actually, if there's any people that have watched the whole series, please, on whatever YouTube or whatever video platform, BitChute or Rumble, leave a comment or something if you want. I think that's cool to know that there was actually people listening to the whole thing, I mean, it's doing well. It's doing well video-wise and episode-wise on podcasts, but I mean, I don't know, like, what people are really thinking about it, So...
it's definitely a different take than what everybody else is putting out there.
Oh, for sure. And I think, honestly, unless something wild happens or unless we get John Ray on, which if you do end up seeing John Ray on this show, it's probably because he finds what we found interesting, which is the only reason I'll have him on if I can get him on. So, yeah, but besides that, I think we're done. Like, I'm not going back. It's done and over with.
This was a lot.
Yeah, definitely was. And there's other things that I need to start working on. Anyway, but that's it from that's it for the Rex and Gilgo Beach series, which I was not expecting at all. I don't know if this will come out. I'm contemplating dropping it. I might drop this tomorrow, which will be Friday. If not, it'll be Wednesday. Unfortunately, regardless which day I do it, I can't do a premiere. So, I can't drop it like I have with the other premieres because, again, like I said, I've had some really great comments in the premieres and people checking it out, and chatting with people. But if there's anything in here that you see that we didn't mention, please add it to the comments wherever you can, even if it's like on Twitter and not on like, social media or a platform. Even, just comment on the post or whatever. And, yeah, because, I mean, there could be more. Not that I'm going to do another episode covering stuff we missed, but, if there's more stuff that can be pointed out, I think that's great, for other people to see when they check out the episodes. And, yeah, I think that's enough said out of me. I'll reiterate real quick. $700 for the year, the podcast, Cash App, Venmo, it's in the bottom. If you want to donate, go for it. That would be great.
thank you very much. If not, the show will still go on anyway. So, regardless, the Occult Rejects and the NY Patriot show is going to keep going. And Lisa, again, thank you very much for covering this topic with me. This is very time-consuming, very heady, a lot of numbers. It was just a lot of work, honestly. And again, like you just did the Eyeball series with us, so there were 2 series in a row that had a lot. And you are jumping in on the next one with, as far as things go, okay, it'll be me, Lisa, I think Teresa, Headless Giant, and maybe one other person. It's going to be a bunch of us covering an interesting topic together. That should be coming out rather soon, or it might be after the tarot finishes. After this, the tarot should be finishing off. I should have the last 3 episodes done, and then there will be another topic with all of us jumping in and contributing on. I make it like Wu-Tang of conspiracy podcasts. I try to get like 5 or 6 people up in there and just one after the other going.
I love it. Sounds great.
Yeah, I think it will be fun anyway. So, and there's a couple of the things in the future that I might actually be doing that with. Some of the topics that we cover, I might actually start doing like 4 or 5 or so people jumping in on it, and really doing some serious research and coverage on the topics that we're going to cover. And cool. That is it for the Occult Rejects. The links are in the bottom for everything else. Check out the Spiritual Gangsters. That's another thing that's going to be changing up. Teresa has a few ideas that she ran past me that I thought were great, and sounds like it's going to make the show fun and change it up a slight bit. But some new things coming with that too. We may start doing lives once a week, and they might be a little bit more lighthearted, kind of touching on current things and picking a funny topic to kind of go along with it. So pretty much it'll just be me picking stupid posts off of fucking Instagrams to laugh at. But no, just right now, especially the way the world is today, it's so easy. At least a few times a week you could find something crazy, silly, and just insane out of the news to laugh at and not even take serious.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it should be fun and like get to talk to listeners too and get them involved. We got a bunch of new things coming for both shows, so check that out in the future. I'm looking forward to it. And again, thank you, Lisa, and that is it. And until the next one, everybody be well.